drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everybody. This is Jen, and I am back. Thank you, Henno, so much for filling in for me last week, especially at the last minute. I'm such a fan of you guys talking together. Mm-hmm. Whenever, I don't listen to the podcast on a regular basis, but whenever Henno is on with you, I look forward to listening. It's like I have to listen because I want to hear what you guys are talking about.
I kind of think him and I should start a bromance podcast where we just look into each other's eyes longingly and just talk about how much we love each other.
I'm saying, just as long as Tony won't get too jealous.
Well, I was going to say it'll be my complete balance to salty language where Tony and I sit there and just make fun of each other for 2 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, and of course with me, as always, is Bryan. Hey, Bryan.
Hi.
So, just to kind of give everybody a little bit of insight, as you know from the talks that I've been talking about for a while now, my life's been really getting kind of unbalanced, and I've been really struggling to kind of put things where they're supposed to be, keep my emotions under control, trying to, basically I'm trying to ride the roller coaster, and it was getting the best of me, and it really kind of showed up last week, and so I needed to pretty much put myself in a timeout, or as I was just telling Bryan before the podcast, I'm calling it my happy place vacation. Mm-hmm. And it really, that kind of spoke to the topic of our podcast today, which is, sometimes you need to take a vacation to your happy place. Mm-hmm. And your happy place could be whatever you want. For me, my happy place is my couch with my blanket and my TV and my phone, but not so much my phone as, because I try to. Usually when I take a vacation to my happy place, I bow out of any social media. I opt out of any real social interaction. Yeah. And I kind of hibernate. And in this particular case, of course I had to go to work last week, but outside of work and my best friend was in town, so we went out one night. But other than that, I pretty much was a homebody, and I literally drove the car, parked the car Friday night around 7 p.m. and did not move the car again till 7 a.m. Monday morning. So I had over 48 hours of doing nothing but sleeping and hibernating and watching a bunch of junk TV and marathoning stuff, and cats loved it because they could hang out and sleep on me all day. Yeah. And stuff, and that's about it, and that's really what I needed. So, again,
but that's really what that should be. When you need that time, it really shouldn't be anything complicated. It should be essentially a stripping down of things to what finding like what like you said, your happy place. What makes you happy? What makes you content or comfortable or whatever at that point. So you strip all the rest of it down. Or put walls up, whatever, inside your pillow fort, basically.
Exactly. I just need to be in my pillow fort.
Yeah.
And, and that's really what it was, is like, I needed to get everything just clear, there's some big decisions were made this weekend, that really kind of helped solidify things for me. Mm-hmm. we had plans of trying to get a house next year as well as the wedding, and we've made the decision that we are not getting a house next year. We're going to wait to 2017. We're going to do nothing but focus on the wedding, and so that kind of helped. So we talked some wedding budget stuff that made me feel better.
Yeah.
We talked about cohabitating our dollars. Hopefully they procreate.
I'm not sure that's how dollars work. Sometimes they work that way. A lot of times they don't seem to work that well. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling they may not be fruitful, but I'm hoping
that
if we cohabitate the dollars, that they multiply and become fruitful, and we have a bunch of baby dollars running around.
Right.
And stuff. So, but yeah, so we got some big decisions like that out of the way, which kind of relieved a lot of stuff that's going on in my head.
Well, sure, like I said before, you remove a few of those weight plates from your shoulders, and it makes a massive difference.
And a lot of times you don't even know they're there.
Exactly.
Like, I thought I was handling it.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly thought.
Well, in fairness, I thought I was handling my depression for 20 years too. So
good point.
Clearly, I was not. Yeah.
And that's kind of and looking back, I'm like, okay, yeah, that was pretty much downward spiral, and it culminated into that. I'm like, I'm okay with that. And sure enough, Monday morning, I woke up, got ready for work, and everything was brighter. Everybody seemed happier. I felt so much better.
Yeah.
It was exactly what I needed. I didn't know I needed it, but I just did. I just needed to just
it kind of builds on the last 2 weeks of the show, which we talked about moments of clarity into moments of joy. And like Henno had said last week, how he's realizing at this point in his life that having moments of clarity are becoming his moments of joy. And it's kind of, you're showing that right now is that, you got some clarity on some things, and through that clarity, you were able to find some joy, And, so it sounds silly and like random terms and stuff just thrown out, but when you see the practical applications of these things, it's not a technique. It's just when you being aware of what's happening to you so that you can, as we've said in the past, celebrate your little wins, or if nothing else, you can change having a defeatist or a negative attitude because you start recognizing little wins. When you start recognizing little wins, you start recognizing bigger wins too. And
exactly.
And that's kind of where this goes, So that's why it's so important to recognize the little wins or your moments of clarity or joy or however you want to word it. It's all similar kind of stuff. So, yeah.
And I found myself just zoning out and not thinking about anything and just, completely mindless nothing, right? Just put the boob tube on and just mindlessly watching home improvement shows and just very banal stuff. And, nothing even as complicated as a movie or a plot line to follow.
Right.
Nothing even that is too much to deal with. Other people's emotions, other people's stuff. Nope. I just want to sit and watch people buy houses and decorate and that's it.
Right.
Maybe a food show here or there. Let's make some cupcakes.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, I wish I had some cupcakes now. Yeah.
Exactly.
This is dangerous. I got to turn this off. Because I don't have any cupcakes.
I really want a cupcake, but except for those, the savory cupcakes that's becoming the thing. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Don't want a savory cupcake. I want a cupcake.
Yeah.
So, but, so that really helped, and by the end, come Monday morning, I was able to look past all of the stuff that was just clouding my vision.
Yeah.
And really was able to, seriously, the clouds parted, the sun came out, I got a good chance to look at the scenery as it stands, which is how incredibly fortunate I am. I have, wonderful, wonderful things happening in my life. A lot of positive things.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are just pouring out just cries that they want to help me, they want to, they want to do stuff for me, they want all this wonderful stuff. And I got too far gone in my own minutia to be able to see all the good.
Yeah.
And when I stopped and just pushed and made myself just kind of zone out, all of a sudden things started becoming a lot clearer. Mm-hmm. And one thing...
Well, yeah, because you distract yourself essentially from the negativity.
Yeah, and the obsessing on the
yeah, exactly. It's so amazing how just... that's such an important thing. And it's if you read all sorts of stuff online about how to help with, the anxiety cycles and stuff like that, it's so much of it is about breaking the cycle. Like, once you break that cycle, you can then go, oh, okay, it's almost like snapping your fingers, like snapping yourself back into the real world from this fantasy land or this nightmare almost, or however you want to word it, so you can look around and go, oh, okay, I can, like you said, you can take inventory at that point,
Exactly. I kind of akin it to being in a tornado. You're in the center of the tornado, and it seems calm, but everything around you is like spinning a mile a minute, and you're just like, oh my God, there's just all this stuff around me, and and you just can't see anything, you can't focus on anything, because all this stuff is just spinning, and then all of a sudden the tornado blows past you, drops you off wherever you're at, and it's in the distance, and you're like, okay, it's still there, and it's causing all sorts of ruckus and fun. Well, not so fun, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you look around, and you're like, oh, it's peaceful. It's like, it's quiet. It's nice. All right. I get it.
Right.
I can actually see
right.
what's going.
Now, what's funny is, a person who's a negative thoughts kind of person sees that time as what's coming next. And there's your difference. That's the difference between finding those moments of clarity or the aha moments, or finding your joy or whatever, being content in the moment, if you will, versus the negative thoughts that won't leave a person alone. Like, I've been mired in, like, if I hit that moment, I'm looking around going, okay, what's coming next? Like, like that kind of a thing. Like, this eerie calm is not comforting to me. This is upsetting, because clearly I'm going to get hit by, a house thrown at me by that same tornado, or, something is going to go wrong here. And that's why
the other shoe's got to fall.
Yeah. And it doesn't. It's just, it's just a matter of your mindset at that point. And it could be the exact same place. Everything can be exactly the same. It's just in the thinking at that point, which way you want to look at it,
Absolutely. And it's just very, very interesting, and how rejuvenating it can be to just take that time out. And it's so funny because people do it. We do it physically all the time. We plan these vacations. We go on vacation. We rent a house, or, we get away from it all. And when we're away, we can take these times out. And we can actually get perspective on the life that we're living at home.
Yeah.
Staycations are real popular.
Yeah.
Because of the same thing.
Well, some people even take it even to a smaller level, and it's like their gym time each day, or 3 or 5 times a week, or whatever they go. Their gym time is their happy place, or their me time. You can, or their
that's my vacation spot.
Right. Or yoga, or, any of that, meditation, those kind of things. That's my way of escaping it all, kind of a deal. So it doesn't even have to be a grand scale thing, or not that yours was really grand scale, because you, like we'd said before, you stripped it down to basics. But, it could be even as smaller, like during my lunch hour, I go and hit the gym for an hour, or, whatever. Hell, honestly, it could be you sit in your car and you read a book for half an hour. I mean, it really...
Yeah, or listen to music, close your eyes, listen to music. Whatever it takes, is... Those are your little personal vacations. That's your timeouts that we have to do.
Yeah.
And stuff. And
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. And some other really cool things have happened, because because of the podcast and because of a lot of learning I've done over the years, I've become really enamored, and I'm a huge believer in the resetting the rules. And I knew the rules were going to change with me working overtime, even if it's a small amount, like 5 hours, which doesn't seem like a lot to most.
Right.
That's going to change the rules. So I was very open with my fiance, and I told him, I'm like, okay, rules are changing.
Yep.
These are the things you're going to see from me.
Like Heno said a while ago when he was on the show. Yep. When the rules change, you have to notify other people that the rules have changed. Mm-hmm. So they know what game is being played. Yeah.
Exactly. So I told him what was going to change. I said, this is the typical reactions I have when I start getting overstressed. Mm-hmm. These are the things that I end up doing. So this is what you're going to start seeing.
Yeah.
And so he's been really responsive. Because he understands.
For those who don't know, picture Godzilla in Tokyo. It's pretty similar. No.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more of how I react to those things, but.
And then, and I also, there's some people that are helping me plan my wedding that we went to a bridal show a couple of weeks ago. And after the bridal show, I sat down with them and I told them the rules. I'm like, just so you know, I said, I think everybody knows, but I am bipolar. Mm-hmm. And part of that is I have a hard time my emotions are not traditionally normal.
Yeah.
So I do not have a traditionally normal reaction to a lot of things.
Right.
What happens, I either over or underreact. Mm-hmm. So, when you're at the parties and stuff, and when we're around a lot of people and things get going, I said, you're going to see me, maybe either get too high or not react at all and stuff like that. And I try to manage it as best I can, but when circumstances such as this, it's going to be more difficult for me to manage.
Right.
Because there's situations I've never been in before.
Exactly.
So
you prepare as much as you want, but you still don't know if that preparation will be enough. Or it might be too much.
Right, and you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it is. And I said, and the other thing is I'm going to need timeouts. And so you're going to see, I might get a little emotional and I may just step out for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. And I'll just tell you ahead of time, I'm just going to step outside for a couple of minutes, just get my head together and stuff, and I'll be great. I'll be right back in type of stuff. And you may need to play a little defense on my behalf. Yeah. And just kind of, give me a little space, a little time from some people, and everything's fine. It has nothing to do with, I said, that's why I want to make sure I let you guys know ahead of time that if there's something really wrong, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Majority of it, like 99% of it, is going to be just me managing through my bipolar, my mental illness.
Yeah.
I said, so, I'll just give you guys a heads up and you'll know what's going on.
Well, again, like if anybody that you talk with, like if any of them do meditation, it's really simple to explain that you need to center yourself again. Like,
exactly.
Like I said, it's like, that scale, the one's on both ends, and it's just kind of flailing about, like trying to balance itself. And it's like once in a while you need to just like stop it. It needs to get reset or whatever so that you can, continue to do the things you want to do that day. It isn't like you said, it isn't that something's necessarily not on the big scale, not wrong, but it's like me when I catch my anxiety starting to kind of get the better of me, I go into breathing exercises like we've talked about in the past.
Yeah.
To try to head that off, calm myself, find my, get myself back where I need to be, and then usually I'm okay, and
exactly. And that's
the same idea.
I did that, which was really good.
Right.
And so, I've had quite a few different wins and I've been working on and stuff.
Yeah.
And so those are good things. The other big thing that I've been working with is I struggle with, I'm a dreamer, which is a great thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with dreaming.
Right.
I'm a huge dreamer. I love dreaming and daydreaming, night dreaming, and I have visions of grandeur a lot. And I have to make sure I mitigate that, though, with reality.
Yeah.
And when it comes to weddings are fantasy.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of weddings, outside, of course, of the union of two people, which usually takes second to the dream.
Yeah. Well,
You
yeah,
know?
because really the union of two people takes all of, 10 minutes of the whole day,
Yeah. So,
versus the pomp and circumstance of all the other things. Yeah.
exactly. So I've been really struggling with keeping myself grounded
Mm-hmm.
in keeping myself grounded in the point.
Yeah.
And not letting myself get too wrapped up in the vision,
Right.
in the dream. And it's really, really been tough. And I think that's been taking probably the biggest toll on me.
Yeah.
Is emotionally and mentally is getting that balanced. Because in my head, I know what I want the day to be. And I'm having trouble because I'm trying to find a venue that captures what I want.
Yeah.
But I also have to balance that between budget
Mm-hmm.
and availability.
Right.
And, and there's a lot of different factors that need to be taken into consideration. And size.
Right.
How many people are going to be there and stuff. So all of this stuff has to be taken into consideration. And I find myself getting sad or depressed at the thought that that dream vision that I have may not come to fruition.
Yeah.
But then when I stop and think about it, is my dream this perfect day?
Mm.
Or is my dream to be married to this man?
Yeah. Yep.
It's not about that day. That's one day.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's going to be so many highlights and so many wonderful things that happen over the next, hopefully, 50 years with this person.
Right.
That it does not all have to fall on this day.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like if the day doesn't go the way you dreamed it up, that immediately, like, the world doesn't end. It doesn't,
Right. The marriage is null and void. You guys have a wedding day.
Yeah.
Boom, you'll never see each other again for the rest of your life.
Right. Like, I'm sorry, this wedding wasn't up to snuff. The wedding inspectors are here, and this one's right out.
Right. Exactly. So, and so that's why, and then you catch yourself going, what are people going to think? Are they going to like this, or are they going to like this better?
Yeah.
Who the hell cares?
Exactly. Yeah.
They don't care.
Right.
You care.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else cares if you use the yellow flowers or the pink flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Right.
They may not even be able
Only
to
a savage
remember what
uses
color
pink
the
color.
flowers.
Yeah, what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're using pink flowers and in September? What?
How dare you? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all that. And I know that's where I just needed to get my little mini vacation away from.
Well, a lot of this goes to, what's it called? Cognitive therapy, which is, being in your moment, like staying in reality, and recognizing what you can change and what you can't change.
Yes.
And the thing is, like, you can't get caught up in, you can make those decisions on the flowers based on what because you can make that change. You could choose either one. What you can't change is what people are going to think. Not to mention, it doesn't matter which color you pick, there's going to be people who like them and some that don't.
Right.
No matter what. Maybe a different number, but there's still going to be probably a similar number that like them, dislike them, or whatever,
Exactly.
So it's like, those are the kind of things that it's like, these are plates I should be able to take off of my shoulders without any real second thought. And I don't know, it always easier said than done, but
sure,
like you're saying,
are things that shouldn't even be plates on my shoulders,
exactly,
but they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's so.
And that kind of stuff seems that seems pretty typical. Like that doesn't feel like you're outside of.
Oh yeah.
Like that stuff. Those seem like typical wedding type things. Because I've heard, and you've heard, I know, plenty of people stressing about it, and you're like, dude, it's napkins. Like, who cares? Like, who cares what the napkins look like? There's going to be a few people that'll take them for some sort of souvenir purpose. Other than that, people will be wiping their faces, noses, and whatever else on them. It's like, who cares? They could be...
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing the monogram stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not... No, because it's dumb.
Right.
You're, like you said, there's no reason. It's wasteful money.
Yeah. Listen, if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm just saying but if it gets to a point that you're stressing over the napkins, rein it back in. Like you've gone too far.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And how I approached my dress, because I do have my dress, and sorry folks, I didn't mean to turn this into wedding talk, but
yeah, you did. All about you.
All about me. The world's about
See,
me.
I told you before it was going to be a Bridezilla thing. Here it is.
Bridezilla all over the place.
It's just starting now.
Right? And I've got, 10 months to go, 11 months to
Yeah,
go?
oh, it's going to be awful, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so folks, here in a couple months, I'll probably be off the show for a few months, and
But, even the way I looked at my dress is how I need to look at everything, which is the way I picked my dress that I picked. It was the 4th dress I tried on. I did a lot of shopping online. I did a lot of looking at things and planning ahead of time.
Hold on, real quick. I want to point out, you were like, like the way I pick my dress is the way I pick out a lot of things in my life. You're like, it's the 4th dress I tried on, which just makes me laugh because it's like, like this is the 4th guy, this is the 4th dress, this is the...
Number 4 is my lucky number.
Yeah,
so everything
right.
I'm doing... No.
Right. Some would say settling, but yeah.
But no, I mean, it was meaning more to...
I knew what you meant. It was just...
Yeah. Because it just... I picked the dress that made me feel good, made me good, and fit the vision I had for me on that day, in that moment. And I didn't obsess about. There's millions of dresses, and I already had in my mind, I'm going to look amazing in tons of dresses. Not because it's me, and it's not an ego thing. It's because there's millions of dresses.
Yeah.
So the odds are there's going to be multiple dresses that look amazing.
Well, and how many of them are going to be similar dresses as well? So, like to support what you're saying, yeah. If you have 20 or 200 dresses that are all really similar, you're going to look good in 200 there, and then, Yeah.
There's going to be 1,000,001 options for me to go with. So instead of stressing out and going and having to see every single one and try every single one on to make sure I have the ultimate
right, so you don't miss out on that one that
right. So instead of doing that, I'm like, no, it's not about the dress. It's about what I'm going to be doing in the dress.
Don't let TLC hear that, because
I know, right?
It's about saying yes to the dress.
And I did have my moment. My mom was there, and there was some tears, and I got to ring the bell and make a wish. And
all right, that's weird, but all right.
Yeah. We're women. We do weird things.
Ringing a bell and making a wish,
all men out there know.
Now, it's funny because if they did that when the guy was getting his tuxedo or whatever, it would be treated so differently because it'd be ringing the bell like the church bells at a funeral. Like bong, bong, like we're mourning someone at this point. Like dead man walking. That's
monks come out with their robes. Oh, exactly, right?
Broad stereotyping,
So I just, I mean, and I think that's a lot of it, is that I'm just I have a lot of internal struggle. Similar struggles at work, not picking the dress for the work, of course, but
it'd be kind of weird.
More along the lines of how much do I fight, how much do I not fight,
Sure, it's choosing your battles,
Right.
There's just some fights that just really aren't worth having, And
it just, by taking a step back, I felt like I was the only one fighting for what was right, but by taking a step back and looking at it differently, I'm starting to see more people fighting.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think they were fighting, but now that I'm taking a step back and looking, going, okay, I guess they have been.
Right.
I've just been so obsessed and on my path that I haven't noticed.
Which makes sense. It happens a lot, I'm sure, with people in their support systems.
Yeah.
Where you feel alone or you feel like you're fighting the fight, but you don't realize that there is an army willing to fight at your side, and it's just like all you have to do is ask. And you're like, oh, yeah, hey, guys, fancy meeting you here. Yeah.
It's like you're going into battle and you forget to look around. And
right, yeah. You're like, oh, you're fighting this too? Like, awesome. Like, we should team up. And they're like, yeah, that's what we're here for. You're like, all right, well, let's do this. It's
like,
Yeah, those are the kind of aha moments, that you have. Like, I mean, like, it sounds ridiculous, and of course I'm making it sound ridiculous.
Sure.
But there's a lot of truth in it. Like, you don't realize sometimes how many people are standing right next to you, and they're like, so do you need some help? And you're like, nah, bugger off. I'm fighting
this battle.
Yeah. Do you mind?
Right. And then they're like, don't you see that I got my sword and my
right,
hand?
yeah. Like, all right, well, I'm going to go sit over there if you need anything. Like, would you leave me alone? Like, oh, I'm so lonely. Yeah. Would you leave me alone?
It's easier.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to be alone here. God, why won't anyone help me?
Right, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's why I said it's ridiculous, but it really is what goes on. And I've had it go on in my own head. I know it, So I hope everyone's laughing at it as I just lay here crying at my, anyway.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it's so true. I mean, and yes, here's the obligatory Angela's awesome podcast
plug of the week.
Every week.
Yeah.
The weekly plug. I was listening to their podcast, and they made a really great comment that resonated with me, which is either let go or get dragged.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, really hit home because I stopped and thought about it. I'm like, that's so true. And sometimes you do need to get dragged because you can't let go for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You don't want to let go. It's not good for you to let go. Whatever. You got to hold on.
Or realistically, you're being dragged and you don't realize that you're near rock bottom. Like, and you just need to be dragged a little further and you're like, hey, you know what? It sucks down here.
So it's like, for whatever reason, sometimes you got to be dragged.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to let go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to say, this is dumb. Why am I letting myself get dragged to the dirt and rocks and get beat the hell up?
Mm-hmm.
But all I have to do is just let go.
Right.
And it just magically, you stop. You're no longer getting hit by rocks.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's very crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just...
It's really hard to let go, though. Or like they talked a few weeks ago, like when Henno was mentioning surrendering, and that's such a powerful word. Like, he didn't say, like, letting go. He said surrendering, and that's such a perfect word for it.
Yeah,
because
it's powerful.
Yes, letting go is powerful, but surrendering is a whole different ball game. It's much, much different. And I think that's kind of... you run into that, and then like with this, it's like you are surrendering to some extent when you let go of those chains. But at the same time, it's so funny because by letting go, you're actually grabbing the reins a little bit, and it works the opposite way. By grabbing the reins too tight, you're actually, like you're letting go, or not letting go, but you're getting dragged at the same time just by holding on so tight to those things that there's no chance you can let go at any point, because if you do, you feel like because you're being dragged, that just the force of it, be like, jumping out of a moving car kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's going to tear me apart if I let go.
Yeah, I have to hold on, and that's how you feel like you're in control, but you're really not. You're just spiraling the whole time, And,
yeah. It's really interesting places to be. Mm-hmm. And when I stop and it's like all of a sudden, like, I've had a really great week.
Mm-hmm.
This has been one hellish week at work. And, at one point, one of my coworkers cracked. Like, literally just, she just started going off about, she does 3/4 of the work and this and that and the other. And I felt personally attacked.
Yeah.
And that was not what it was about, but I felt personally attacked. So I defended myself. I said a couple things to defend myself.
Yeah.
And she kind of deflected them. At that point, I got up and walked out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just walked out for a few minutes, got my head together, thought about what she truly was saying. And what she truly was saying is that we're under a ton of pressure. There's way too much work for us to get done.
Yeah.
She's being pushed beyond her limits and can't take it and needs somebody to give her relief and not push her as hard as they're pushing her.
Yeah.
And nothing to do with me. So, so when I got the perspective and I came back in and dealt with it, and we're perfectly fine and cool and everything. But again, a week ago I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I was too mired in stuff. I would have stood there and fought.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Mm-hmm.
There was no reason for me to fight because there was nothing about me.
Yeah.
It seemed that way. It wasn't just to me.
Yeah.
I mean, to a lot of people.
Well, not to mention, there's no win in you fighting with her.
Right, and that's what
it doesn't make either of you feel any better, and it really isn't going to improve things, and it's going to make your employer look at you negatively. Like, they're not going to go, oh, good for Jen. She's standing up for. They're going to, oh, geez, like, well, look, we got to deal with this problem over here with these two, So
it was a good thing that came out of me giving myself a timeout.
Yeah.
And
but the ability to recognize when you need to remove yourself from a situation really is an aha moment. Like, because a lot of times it's hard to recognize that until you're past it, and then you're like, wow, I really shouldn't have got involved in that. It's so much, of course, hindsight and all, but it's,
right.
So if you can recognize that you're starting to get dragged, let go. Like, just because she's dragging doesn't mean you have to continue to be dragged. You can let go, and say, nope, I'm not going to let you drag me. I'm letting go, and I'm going to stand here and watch you get dragged away, basically.
Yep. Exactly. And so it was just, it was really interesting. And like I said, it's just been a really kind of, crazy but fun and interesting week.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I don't think I understood the power of is my fiance works nights, and he's pretty much for the last month and a half to almost 2 months worked every single night. And the nights that he hasn't been working, there's been other things going on.
Yeah.
So we've not had any one-on-one time in a long time.
Yeah.
And this weekend, and I'm not one to tell somebody no. I just, if they make decisions in their lives, they make the best decisions they can, and I support them. And he shot me a message, because this is going on his weekend. He gets 5 days off in a row. And his boss wanted him to come in and work Friday and Saturday, and he had already signed up to work Sunday, which would leave like Monday and Tuesday for us.
Right.
And I told him no.
Yeah.
He shot me the message, and I responded back just no. He's like, boss wants me to work Friday, Saturday, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
Like, no, we need to just be together, watch a movie, go to dinner. I don't care what we do.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it's do laundry, honestly, it's still this. Yeah.
And I feel like tonight's Thursday, and I seriously feel like it's almost Christmas Eve, and I didn't have any clue how much I was missing that.
Sure, that makes sense.
Until just today. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like freaking like Christmas Eve. I'm like a little kid.
Yeah.
All giddy because I get to spend the next 2 days with my fiance.
It's a really hard thing to deal with, whether you're in a relationship or you're not. It's a hard adjustment when you're used to somebody being there. Or whatever, or just at some point where you're just like, you just need that reconnection, Like, it's like, hey, we've been, ships in the night for a while. It's like we need, I remember when, Tony does Salty Language with me and his wife were working, I forgot, what was it? He was working nights and she was working days, and they barely saw each other. And, I remember how frustrating that was for them, and just, because they never really got to see each other. And then when they finally would get a weekend or a day or something here or there, it was, like you said, it was like Christmas Eve, because you're like, you're like, all right, finally we can, like it's just, it's so important for people, to have contact. And it's the biggest shame about, like when you see people that are, like when you see somebody that's like, single for like 15 years or or never had something, and you're just like, wow, it's like it's amazing how you feel it, and you feel like it's such a necessity, and it's been proven that it's good for your mental health, like cuddling and spending time with people, it's talking with people, it's all really good for your mental health. And you see these people that have existed like long stretches of time, and you're like, how the heck do you not go crazy from this? You know?
Really, and that's kind of. But when you're in the moment, you don't even think about it.
No, exactly, yeah.
But like I said, I mean, I didn't even. I've not been complaining about it. I haven't. You know, just kind of like, okay, it is what it is, and just go on your daily business, and you just live your life, whatever. Until all of a sudden you're faced with it like this, and I'm just like, oh my god, why am I? I'm just like giddy. This is kind of goop. This is kind of crazy. And then I stop. I'm like, oh, that's right. Okay, this does make sense. And again, on top of everything else, it was just like one of those things that, in hindsight, I'm looking back, going, it's completely understandable why I had to, take my little vacation and, and hibernate and just get away from everything in the world and stuff. And
I'll be honest, like when you really kind of take a step away from it and look at it, it feels like you kind of had an episode with your bipolar.
Oh, I did.
It really feels like you kind of like like the balance kind of swung too far. And, like, because, normally things kind of move back and forth, and the medicine and everything helps you control it. And I've noticed, you seem to have pretty good control on it, but it seemed like it, things swung too far.
They did.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting because and that's what I really appreciate this show, because if you look back at the last month's worth of podcasts, almost every week I'm struggling to find my balance. I'm struggling to find my balance. I'm trying. I'm fighting. I'm trying to get this balance, and it's not coming together.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't coming together, and it accumulated, or
culminated.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it all came together, I think, in this last week where I opted out. I opted out of life.
Well, really, what happens is, you essentially hit rock bottom. Like you bottomed out, and then it's like, okay, well, when you hit that, that's where all your wisdom in life and everything, that's where all that stuff is so important, because, you hit rock bottom, and do you just lay there, or do you look around and go, again, it's the moment of clarity. Like I said before, is it a catalyst for change? Clearly it was. You made changes, and those became, then that fell into the other. It's, like I said, it's so important to recognize these things, because when you catch that stuff, like, hey, you know what? This feels like bottom. Like, this feels like I hit the bottom here. And it's like, this is a great opportunity for me to make a change,
And that's, and really, it is. It's like, and I wouldn't want to say, and I hate to say the word bottom, because bottom is such a strong word for many people. Yeah. And I wouldn't.
Well, the reason I'm okay with using that versus some of the other things we've talked about with word choices is because rock bottom is different from person to person.
Absolutely. So, and it really wasn't. I mean, I've been in darker places. I've been farther down the rabbit hole.
But you can still hit a bottom and not be as far down in the world as you can be.
Exactly, and it really was. I mean, it was like I hit a place, and I needed to take a nap. Yeah, I hit a plateau. Yeah, and I'm like, all right.
Well, this is kind of flat. Yeah.
I'm like, I'll make myself comfy here for a little bit. Let me take a nap.
Well, it's funny because like when you mentioned like balance and stuff, it's like this past week or 2 weeks, honestly, I've been really out of flux. Like after talking with actually, it was before Henna and I did the show last week. I was already, like, I don't know why, but my anxiety was at, like, a ridiculous level last week. And, I knew I was going to be going out of town for a couple of days, but nothing about that really should have set it
triggered
to,
it.
Not to the level that it was. Because I'm always going to have anxiety, or as of right now, I'm going to have anxiety when something comes up. But
right, it's part of the natural.
Yeah, but it went so far, and then not sleeping over the weekend, and I got frazzled, and like I told you, our second day, we got up for breakfast, and I was done. Like I was spent. Like, I just wanted, really, all I wanted at 9 in the morning, I wanted to go home. You know, and I knew that later that night we were going to see, you know, a comedian named Bill Burr, who I love, you know, and if you don't listen to his podcast, it's called the Monday Morning Podcast. You should. He's fantastic. If you're into, you know, comedians that are a little bluer. But anyway, you know, so I knew that was going to be a good show. And it was still, like, I didn't care. Like, I almost could have just went home instead. And it sucks because I could feel it. Like, my nerves were shot. I was so, it was, you know, like, being so overstimulated by something that you essentially, it's like, you don't want anything to, it's like, just leave me alone. Like, you know, you go to a concert and the music's so loud that after a while you're just like, this is too much. And it's that kind of a thing. And it felt like that is what I hit by 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. And I knew I still had all day to go before we got to that concert. And by the time we got done with that, you know, walking out of there, it was like, man, that was a great show. It was hilarious. You know, it was a gorgeous theater. I'd never been to the Fox Theater in Detroit before. It's an awesome looking theater. But coming out of there, it was, God, I just want to go home. Like, that's all, my head was just, I want to go home. I need my
You needed a vacation to your happy place.
Yeah, I needed to just get into bed and just lay there. And I knew that's what I needed, you know. And even this week, all week, I've been, you know, and I had a therapy appointment today. And, you know, I told the doctor about that. And, you know, she was a little concerned because most of the time of the few times I've gone in there, I'm like, you know, I'm doing okay or whatever. Today, she's like, so how have you been? And I'm like, not good. Like, really bad. Yeah. Like, I've been on edge. And I've got a few things in life that are, you know, kind of, you know, putting weights on myself, like feeling stress from something that's whatever. But, you know, and it's just, like I said, the last 2 weeks have just been, I don't want to go do anything this weekend. I mean, if someone called me right now, I'd be like, nah, probably not. You know, like, I have no want for it. And it reminds me, now the difference is, like, when you think back to when I did the podcasts, I was like, you know, I know next week I'm no good. This week, or this time, I didn't see it coming as much, and I haven't been. It's like my anxiety got out of control, and I can't stop it. I can't rein it back in, really. And I mean, I have been sitting and doing breathing exercises way more than I normally do. You know, trying to come up with, you know,
using
do what
all
I can.
the tools that you in your tool chest, and nothing's working.
Right, and then, you know, like I said, I went to therapy today and talked with her.
Did it help going to therapy?
I feel good while I'm there, you know, but then coming out of there, you know, because she asked me, she's like, what do you need to feel calm or comfortable? You know, basically, essentially, what's your happy place is essentially what she's asking me. And much like a lot of stuff, I've hit a point that I've been mired in for so long, I don't know. You know this. I've been saying for years, I have no idea what would make me happy at this point. I really don't.
I think you need to have T or one of your friends drive you up to the lake, and you just need to sit on a blanket by the lake and just chill, because that's where you get a lot of clarity.
I kind of think I'm past it with this one.
You think so?
Yeah, like I'm really, really frazzled right now, and it's. Do you know what it really is? Times like these are when it's really tough being single, because what you need is that person to pat you on the head and tell you everything's going to be okay. Yeah, that kind of a thing.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? So it's tough because
so you do know what you need. Maybe
I don't know. It's just maybe that's what it is. I don't really know, but that's why, you know, when she asks me stuff so many times, I'm like, I don't know. I haven't sat down and made goals for myself for so long because I don't see myself in a position where I feel I can do anything. Yeah. So I haven't bothered making any sort of real goals, you know, because she wanted long-term goals, and I'm like, you know.
Right.
But anyway, it's this whole time, like, she gave me, and I think we should talk about this in the future, she gave me a couple papers about cognitive distortions, which are ways that you negative thinking, essentially.
Okay.
Different types of negative thinking. And I think we do a whole show on this, so I don't want to get too much into it today. But it's funny because she goes, everybody has some of these. I'm reading down the sheet. The front's got 5 on it, I think. And I'm like, yep.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. Like doing this show helps. Doing podcasting always seems to help me because it really is my happy place, essentially, I think. And like she asked me today, I was talking about podcasting, and she's like, let me ask you a question. She's like, do you get anxiety from podcasting? And I'm like, kind of, but not really. I was like, I kind of just walk into it. And she's like, why do you think that is? And I'm like, I don't know, other than I feel kind of confident in what I'm doing. I think that's what it is I think I have confidence in myself in this format that
you're good at it.
That I haven't had in much else for a long time. And I think that's really what this is. And I was like, other than that, I don't know. And she's, and she's like, huh. And she's like, well, maybe that's, she's like, because I find it funny. She's like, you talk to me on one hand about how you have trouble getting out of bed, but she's like, then you tell me you haven't missed a podcast in 4 years almost, with your one show. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, it's almost like I'm two people when it comes to most of my life. And then there's the podcasting, Bryan.
Right.
And I told her, I was like, maybe that's why I'm so exhausted a lot of times after we're done with whatever podcast I do, because it really is a different me. Essentially, but that was kind of I don't know if it's a moment of clarity or whatever, but it was certainly an aha moment because it kind of caught me off guard, and I was like, I haven't given any thought to that, but she's totally right. I am a really different person when it comes to podcasting. Like I am, because she asked me about, because, she knows I have issues with control because, control equals no variables, which means lower anxiety. That's the way my head works it out, even though it's totally not true. That's not. Right. That is not how the real world works, but that's how my mind works.
Yeah.
And I was telling her that, and she was like, "Well, do you record everything?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Do you do the editing?" And blah. And I was like, "Well, yes and no." I was like, "I really don't edit much."
Right.
But and she's like, "Would you be comfortable like with if Tony recorded in Salty Language instead of me, or if like you recorded this instead of me?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, 100%. I don't care." And she's like, "Isn't that funny?" She's like, you can completely let go of control, but you can't in other aspects just go here, And I was like, yeah, I don't know why, but I can do it no problem. Tony's recorded episodes of Salty Language. There was one week where I hadn't slept much, and I'm like, hey, I need you to record the show because I may do something dumb while we're recording.
Right.
So it's a really interesting moment to me. Like when I hit this stuff, because I'm like, it really gives me something to think about.
Yeah.
Like, how can I apply the confidence that I do show for podcasting in other things in my life?
Yeah, and the commitment and the
the drive, like the want.
Yeah, because that's true. It's like very few things can you say because of all the different things that are going on in your head and stuff. You're very inconsistent. Mm-hmm. Is the one part of your life that you are incredibly consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there will be a Salty Language up unless, I have kidney stones. Or there will be, and again, we did a show that week. We just, we had a technical thing, like the program goobered on us, and it just disappeared.
Yeah.
So we lost the show, and then, when we were going to re-record, I had, I've missed episodes of Salty Language. There's a couple I wasn't on when I was dealing with, a knee issue where I just was laid up in bed. But that show has gone up. For the most part, I think I've only missed 2 shows. Maybe 3 out of 221. That's a really good record.
Yeah, it is.
And I know that. And that's why, because she asked me, and I was like, the only other thing I can think of is, as a podcaster, it's really difficult to tell if you're not successful at it. Because if you get a little interaction, you see certain numbers, if those numbers look like they're continuing to go up, you get the illusion that you're successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really know. You might not be. Could be bots downloading your show, because numbers in podcasting are really arbitrary.
Right.
And I told her, I was like, so I don't know. Maybe that's part of what it is. I haven't found a line to go success or failure.
That's a good point.
And maybe that's what it is. Like, I've never been in podcasting to make money at podcasting.
Yeah.
Because otherwise there would be a definitive line. If, am I making money? No. Well, I'm failing. It's cut and dry.
Uh-huh.
And I think that the way that I look at podcasting is I just do it because I enjoy it has led to essentially, maybe that's the mindset. I don't know.
And it's very, very interesting points and things to think on.
Yeah.
And it's very, very insightful and very interesting and definitely stuff to kind of put your mind to and think on it and kind of see if there's maybe things that you do and tricks that you use with podcasting that you can apply to other places in your life.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I do get plenty of anxiety from podcasts, especially on Salty Language when we have a guest. If it's someone that I've never had interactions with really or limited or somebody that we're excited to have or something, I get very anxious. But and that's why, but there's been a couple of times where I've had Tony lead us into the show for our enthusiast show because I kind of feel like I'm too excited. You see football players do it all the time. They come out and they're just too amped up, and I kind of think that's what it is. My anxiety's got the better of me, so I'm going to let Tony come in as the calm voice. I'll come in as, needed. And but yeah, it's definitely, that's my point from this point of therapy. I've noticed that the last, 3 sessions, I've walked out with at least one thing where I've been like, I really need to think about this. And I think as long as I keep having those, I think therapy's doing something for me.
Absolutely.
Because it's making me readjust my thinking, instead of being down a certain path. And how you get focused on one way. This has gone hey, what about over here? And it's like, oh, that's a really good point. I don't, I hadn't considered. So,
which is great. And honestly, you might want to look at going weekly.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing the bi-weekly. That way it gives me more more sample size. It gives me, because I don't do a lot. So
right. No,
so,
and I get that. And I do.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. But I'm thinking it might be too logical.
Yeah.
I think that might be too logical of reasoning.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it needs to be a little bit more emotional.
Well, I kind of like where we're hitting right now with the last couple times I've been in there, because the last time she gave me a questionnaire to fill out, and we went over it a little bit today. I'm actually going back in a week and a half, because we didn't get all the way through it, and which is funny because there's 8 questions on the thing. Really, there's 4 questions. You know what I mean? They're just little changes in wording in hopes of helping you come up with answers. But a lot of the stuff, I told her, I was like, I pretty much will give you the same answers for, for each of these, because, it's stuff like what concerns you in your life, what is, what do you feel is wrong, and it's these are all pretty much the same situation.
Yeah, same vein.
Yeah. So, whereas this time, she gave me a packet of what I had mentioned about the cognitive distortions, so that's something for me to look at, and she wants me to go through them a lot, go through them and go through them and go through them to basically to where I can use those and recognize when I'm doing it, so that I can go, oh, whoa, no good, gotta stop. You catch yourself, so that you go the other way. And so I said, looking through them earlier today, I was like, this is a podcast, right? And I even told her when she handed them to me when I was reading through it, I was like, I'm going to do a podcast on this. I was like, because this is a great topic. And she, and she loves the idea that I do this show because it helps me work. I mean, just us talking, I've worked through a little bit what she mentioned and taken it a little further, so.
Oh, yeah. And definitely. I mean, and this podcast has been so incredibly helpful for me in so many different ways. And again, it helps me to see the trends. It helps me to see the patterns of things that are happening. And it is. It's bouncing ideas off of in a safe environment.
Yeah.
Bouncing ideas around and thoughts around, and again, it gives you a different perspective on things.
Right. Now, talking with my doctor recently, I may be, they may be sending me to a psychiatrist also. Because, part of a lot of people, and again, this could be a whole show, which I think we should get into at some point, but a lot of times people start at the psychiatrist because basically they go through and they make sure that there's no like vitamin deficiency or chemical imbalance that they can fix that might make it or a thyroid issue or something, that because thyroid issues can give you the depression symptoms. Like I have a lot of the thyroid deficiency, or was it, what did I tell you before? Do you remember, was it overactive or underactive? I can't remember.
I think it's underactive.
Yeah, that can give you the sluggishness, the the depression and different stuff. So sometimes it could be stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure they've tested me for that before. So I don't, but anyway, there's I may end up going through that because again, if you see weapons in the arsenal, why not exhaust them? Kind of a thing. And it's like, and the worst that can happen is I go in there and they can go, okay, well, do you want to go on an antidepressant? I go, no, or whatever else medicine. And I could go, not really. I'd rather do this first. Like, okay, we'll come back if you want to, that's basically the worst they could come up with. It's, so I may go through that just because, again, it's, it's another arrow in my quiver. So why not use it,
Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, I go to a psychiatrist and a general practitioner that, they kind of work together on my wellness plan.
Yep. And the beautiful part for me too is if I do go to a psychiatrist, there's one in the same building that my general practitioner and my psychologist are in. So they literally can work with each other within the same building. Like they're
same thing with my psychiatrist and the general practitioner.
Yes, it's fantastic that exists because that's how it should be. It should be an easy transition from one to the next kind of a thing, and
they're not autonomous.
Right.
It's your team. It's your medical team that's helping you.
And I've read plenty of stuff that kind of points that depression, for people with depression, that medicine and therapy is generally the best.
Hit it from the two sides.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you got arrows in the quiver. Why not use them? So. But anyways, I kind of pulled us away from the happy place, but I kind of didn't because.
No, because you're right. Because right now, I mean, I know where my happy place is.
I'll be honest. Like right now, for me, those therapy, meeting with that psychologist is a happy place.
Sure.
Because as I described, I don't remember, was it with you, or with Henno, I can't remember which, when I was like, it's a safe environment. It's free of judgment, and, I love my support, system, but it's so nice to just go in there and just, blah,
Right.
And I know she's listening to try to help me find ways to fix things and stop being negative and depressed. And you know what I mean? It's like, it's just such a good feeling that's why, I mean, we recommended it before, but go get help.
It's a mental workout for you.
Yeah. I mean, I've only gone 4 times and I can see and feel differences because she's, again, turned the way I think just enough that, gradually adjusting the dials over time, I think will get me going the way I'm supposed to be going.
Right. And it's very lightening, and it's very, it makes you feel great when you can stop and go, oh yeah, I'm not there yet, but I'm on the path.
You can see it though. You can see the path. Yeah, it's so hard to see, but from the fog and everything otherwise. Yeah.
So that's awesome. And, and I feel I'm there too. I mean, it's kind of weird because like we do have, even though we have different obstacles and stuff, we do travel similar paths through a lot of things.
Right.
And I think that's why we've always been friends, and we've known each other since, 94?
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, 93, 94. So we're going on 20 years.
Yeah.
over 20
over
years.
20 years,
of knowing each other and being friends and everything, and
boy, have we both
quite the life together.
I was gonna say we've both really had an interesting path during that, from where we were to where we are. There's so much that's shifted and come back around, and it's so interesting to kind of look at that.
And someday, folks, we'll give you the background of Jen and Bryan.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it, and we I guess there's no secrets behind it or anything.
No.
But Bryan and I have been we were friends for many years, and we actually were in a relationship for 13 years, and lived together for quite a long time, and probably a good 10 of that 13 years we lived together.
Yeah, that seems pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, and
definitely. My dad died 10 years ago. So, yeah, I would say it's probably about 10 years.
Close to 12.
Yeah. It was probably...
we lived together.
It was probably 10 of the years. And there was some, you'd stay off and on. But, yeah, I think it was probably about 10 years is probably about right.
So there is... we obviously have quite the history, which I'm sure everybody has realized because of all our discussions and stuff. But we've lived quite a life together.
Yeah.
And lots of things have happened, goods and bads, and it's just been quite the roller coaster of a life. But through everything, we do have this string that kind of holds us together, that we're just kind of on similar paths with our lives. So it's very interesting. Just even just now, the stuff we're going through. Last week was a really high anxiety, tough week for me, and I literally was done with the week by Tuesday morning. Yeah, like you said, and I still had the entire week to go. And
that's essentially where that's about where I was too. Is by Tuesday or Wednesday, I was like, I'm done. Yeah. I don't want any more of this, and I knew, I was going to have a busy weekend, so I was like,
exactly. Man. Thankfully, I had a free weekend that I could just, that's why I couldn't do the podcast, and the only thing I did outside of work the entire week was go out with Lauren, and that's only because she flew in from Denver for other reasons, and she was in town, and I'm not missing going out with my best friend, so that was the only thing that I did the entire week. Everything else canceled. I was supposed to go bowling on my league on Sunday, did not do that, didn't do anything. And I just had to opt out of every commitment I had to opt out on, and just to kind of get myself through and get myself to a healthy point. And I think it's the same thing with you. You didn't have that luxury, so now you have to, you're paying the price in having to find that comfort zone. You push yourself way past your limits, and now you've got to regroup and take a vacation to the happy place, and get yourself centered, and get yourself healthy, and go and start fighting the battles again.
Right.
So I guess with that, because I think we're way over, aren't we?
No, we're a little bit over. It's not bad.
A little bit over. Oh, that's not too bad. All right, cool. So I guess with that, we should probably wrap up. Again, if you want to continue the conversation with me, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. You can also reach out to the show at thecrazylife.weebly.com or shoot us an email at thecrazylife@outlook.com. And Bryan, how can they reach you?
You can also shoot the show a tweet if you want. It's the Crazy Life Pod on Twitter. You can reach me on Twitter at Stunami. You can reach my other show, Salty Language, at salty_language. If you're interested in checking that show out, you can go to saltylanguage.com or, just same way you found this show. Just type in Salty Language. We're the only show on there as far as I know.
Yeah, that's a silly Bryan. This is the more serious Bryan.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I forgot what else. Once again, as always, thanks to our friend Heno for co-hosting last week, and also for our intro song. You can find him on Twitter at Ida Heno, and also give Angela's awesome podcast a listen. if you want, or I can't remember the website. I think it's goingtoangelas.com is their website, where you can read her blog and you can get episodes of their show and stuff as well. And then always, as I like to do, I will remind you we're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals, or certified anything. We're just two people who dealing with mental illnesses, and these are, what we've experienced, and hopefully it'll help you or help someone you know or whatever. But if you need actual help, please go get it. As that's why I'm being as open as I can be with my therapy stuff. I'm not going to say everything that goes on, but I'm trying to open so people can kind of see how I'm benefiting from it, in hopes that maybe someone will go, hey, maybe I should go too. So go check that out. If money's a concern, check with your Department of Human Services department in your area, or look up online for or talk to mental health care professionals. A lot of them offer lower rates or sliding scale, or they can work with other things to help you get mental health. Am I forgetting something? I feel like I'm forgetting. Thanks to the Tangent Bound Network and the Wicked Radio Network. Please check them out. There's a whole bunch of shows on both of those
great
networks.
Network.
So, yeah.
Of wonderful people.
Man, I always feel like I'm forgetting something. I do the same thing on Salty Language. I always feel like there's something I'm forgetting, and I don't know what it is.
No, I think the last disclaimer you always end with.
You're right. That's the one. Yeah, if you're in a dark, dark place, if you're contemplating suicide, please do not do that. Contact the suicide hotline number, or if, you can just type it into Google. You'll find it easy. If or contact me, I'll get it for you, whatever you need to do, or find a support group or something. But please don't take your own life. That's no good.
No, it's no good. I mean, as you can see, there's tons of ups and tons of downs, and Bryan and I think are perfect examples of the crazy roller coaster that mentally you can go on. Even when things are amazing, it's still an emotional roller coaster. So stick with it, hang in there, enlist your support system, and if you don't have a support system, start building one.
Yeah.
Reach out to us. We will help you in any way we possibly can, but make sure that you get everybody you can involved in your health, because you are worth it. So with that, everybody have a great week. Don't forget to claim your wins, and we haven't been doing that lately, but make sure you claim your wins, and take a vacation to your happy place. It's a really nice place to go and visit. Just don't stay there.
Right.
All right, we'll talk at you, I guess, next week. Thanks.
Congratulations! Hi, my name is Mark, and your side quest is over. That's right, your mission has been completed. You found this podcast. Whether you rolled that D20 or you did that whole up, down, left, right, select, start, whatever combination, Konami code that was. I can't remember. I'm old. Leave me alone. Anyway, you're probably listening to this on a mobile device. iOS, Android, Windows. But did you also know that you can find this show along with so many others like it? Although admittedly there are no shows quite like this one. Believe me, I know. I've looked. But you can always find the latest episode of this show at Tangent Bound Network. Go to tangentboundnetwork.com, look it up, check it out, listen from the site. It's even mobile friendly. How awesome is that? Go check it out, tangentboundnetwork.com.
Welcome to the Wicked Radio Network.